Hey, what's up, travelers? I welcome you into this little video of mine where today I will be discussing, um, and I mean, thanks for tuning in. And today I will be discussing this obsidian stone, and most precisely the black obsidian stone, and how I kind of came to use it, or how I kind of came to know its properties. And I mean, I feel kind of odd just holding it and just talking about it because it absorbs a lot of energy, so it feels like the flow isn't going as naturally, but I'll try to continue on even though. So people would say that this is, and I mean, I'm gonna approach it from my own plane of awareness and experience and kind of tell you how I've came to understand it. But mostly people would say that this is a protective stone. I mean, it's black, so it's magnetic, it absorbs heat. And people would say that some people actually use it, and I could kind of see that just holding it right now. People kind of use it to lose themselves into it, kind of use it as like a black mirror to like scry and see messages, and they kind of like put their focus, since it reflects light, yet it's so black that it kind of absorbs all the spectrum. It's a neat way to perhaps see the light that isn't blinded by the actual visible spectrum, so it's used as a scrying tool. One way that I like to use it is, let's say I'm drinking too much tea, and let's drink a bit of black tea. Let's say I'm drinking too much tea and I haven't ate a lot, and I feel like my energy is just going everywhere, and I'm really telepathic. So if I'm not grounded enough, ideas just come out of my head without me really wanting to. And sometimes at night, it could kind of make me anxious if I'm not grounded enough. So when I have like a piece of obsidian, I can just lay on the bed and just put it over my head. And it feels like it absorbs all the excess energy. And I mean, that's also the intent that I put in it. Because when you're working with gemstones, they're gonna have a vibration and energy of their own. They're gonna carry their own kind of like memory, if you want, their own ideas. But you, as a creator of your experience, can kind of like impregnate it with intent. You put something in it. You influence its yin realm so that it influences the energy that it emits in the end. And this is true with any gemstone. As much as they're gonna have like their vibration, you really can put a certain intent in it. And just as anything, certain vessels, certain stones will be better to carry out certain intents. It's like if I want to share with you something that evokes love, if I'm putting a picture of someone getting raped or someone getting murdered, and I put the intent of love in it and I show it to you, it might not be the best vessel for it. But a black stone like this is really good for an intent that makes it so it absorbs the energy, it magnetizes, it shields in a certain way. And something that I found really interesting, or one of the main inspirations to know for me what kind of like this stone can carry as far as energy goes, is that most of them, and I'm mainly approaching the black kind of obsidian because that's the one I've mostly worked with. But it's like most obsidian comes from actual lava that cooled off quickly because it came in contact with water, and cooled too quickly for actual significant crystallization to occur. So it's kind of like this glass shard looking thing. Now this one has been like a bit like worked, so it looks like an arrowhead, and it had like little indents so that you could put it as a necklace. But I broke it because I break most of them because they're really fragile, especially when they're that thin. But I think just some of the obsidian isn't lava coming in contact with water and cooling off quickly. It's actually lightning striking the sand, and the result is this. So either way, perhaps you could like use your imagination or use your intuition to see how this kind of influences the yin realm of it. But what I could kind of infer from that is that it was a hot force. It was a fiery elemental force that came in contact with water, and then it kind of was stopped in its path right there, and it became a big cluster of dark magnetic energy. So you could use it to block a certain chakra, block a certain energy, shield yourself from incoming energies. You tell it and you put your intent in it as to what you want it to do. Perhaps you could put it in a bag or something. When I go out dancing or raving or whatever, I use, well, I was using black tourmaline for that, but I feel you could do it with Obsidian also. You just put the intent, like, protect my bag, keep it from, like, the eyes of people, and you just put your bag in there, store it in, like, a dark place, and then you know it's kind of, like, protected by the Obsidian or black stone. So that's one way, protecting something, but you really have to put your intent in it. It has to become alive in it, so you have to believe in it as much as you believe that you could get a woman, or you could get pregnant through intercourse. You know, you have to use your creative power so much that it is a result. It has no choice to be true, and it becomes it. Some people would say that's placebo, but placebo, you know, it's just a word for creating through our sense of experience and belief. You know, there is a lot of connotations relating to that. Anyhow, one way that I really like to use it, if it's not to protect myself or to block a certain chakra or to shield an energy center. Let's say I'm at night and I drank too much tea and there's too much caffeine in my body, and I feel like thoughts are coming out of my head without me really wanting to, or my attention is going everywhere. Maybe if I'm laying on my back, I'm just gonna put like this Obsidian over my third eye, just so that it calms and absorbs what's coming and what's going out, because I might not have the actual will at that moment to do it by myself, or I might have too much energy trying to move out of me, you know. One way that I used Obsidian was actually as I used to live in like this apartment, this one room apartment, like most of my other videos are in that apartment. You know, and people would just walk all the time in the hallway, and I felt like anybody could kind of like try to open up the door, or the janitor could have tried to open up the door. So I had my Obsidian on the floor, because I wasn't allowed to put things on the wall there. Anyway, I had my Obsidian on the floor, and the intent was that just as it is an embodiment of lava that had been cooled quickly enough when it came in contact with water, if someone was gonna try and rush and open my door, they would be just like the lava getting cooled by the water, and they would be stopped in their way. So as much as like it was like a protective black stone that absorbs the energy, I kind of used alchemically what I felt it was an embodiment of, and I gave it the intent to do the same thing with another type of energy, or, you know, the same kind of energy but played out through a different vessel, aka someone coming and trying to rush to the door. And, you know, and what's funny is that when I was moving from there like a few weeks ago, like as the new moon in Aquarius was happening, I calculated the time of the new moon, and just before like it got to like the perfect new moon with the moon directly in front of the sun, like 10 minutes before, like astrologically and astronomically, I guess, it would come to like the 180 degree conjunction. I took a shower and I released I released the room because I wanted to make space for a new one. And when I came back in my room as the new moon was starting to wax again, I opened up the door, and randomly, I don't believe in coincidence. Well, everything happens for a reason. Randomly, I stepped on the Obsidian and it broke in two. So it's like as I released the energy and as I walked back into the room, I stepped on the the etheric lock that I put for that room. So in a sense, I was like, hey, that's kind of neat. Like that wasn't really consciously intentional of me to like break the Obsidian, but it kind of showed me that it was doing its work, and that when I released it, you know, my subconscious made me break the actual lock, or the physical vibrational manifestation of the frequency that I had released myself from, or the vibration I had released my frequency from. Anyway, I mean, I gave an Obsidian also to a woman that I love once, just so that she was actually a bit sick, and I wanted the stone to absorb the energy, and I also wanted her to be shielded from negative influences. A woman that I love. And oh, loudy loud. And yeah, it's pretty much it. So, and some people would say that they are kind of like overwhelmed by the black obsidian, but I also read that it is a stone, and I guess they all kind of have their own story. They all come from different volcanoes. They all kind of like, maybe they come from the sky and the lightning, and maybe this is different. So, you know, every stone, just like every human, has its own story behind it. But yeah, some people are kind of getting overwhelmed by that, I hear. And I read also. And I read that it was said actually that it's a stone that can help you kind of like embody the dark side of your soul, so that you could see it. And if you're not ready to see your dark side, well, it might not be a stone that is really fit for you. Perhaps you want something that's more, perhaps I have the intuition right now, this is perhaps something more grayish, like smoke quartz, agate, like a dark agate, or, you know, a darker, more grayish stone, so that you could ease yourself into the dark side. And where's the stop button? So that was it. Thanks for watching, and now tuning out.